The energy is so vibrant right now. I'm loving it. There's this fire in the air, and it's a good kind of fire too. It's not like crap is being destroyed or anything like that. It's actually that there's irons in the fire, and there is molten smithing taking place within our souls. It's really cool to see. And if you're watching this video right now, this is a confirmation that you're about to go to the next level and that a new level has been unlocked. And if you are watching this as well, if this is resonating with you at all, just type in the comments next level if this resonates with you, because it's going to get pretty I mean, we always have those tides, right? That we have the ups and the downs and in between. And for the last 3 months, it's been calm, but also with a mix of chaos. This calm chaos that has ensued over the last 3 months. And I think it's also the legitimate change of the season. We're moving into spring here within the next month or so, and there's this newfound energy that has taken place. And I think a lot of it also has to do with the kinds of knowledge that is being, well, increased overall. And we do have to be mindful, because knowledge can puff us up, but if we can incorporate that knowledge into our being, and we can create new thought algorithms and equations that are in line with who we are and what we want to be doing and what we're building for and who we're building with, then things are going to work out just fine. And that will be essentially incorporated wisdom into our being. And so you see, like, there's a lot of different kinds of people out there right now that are going through a variety of different kinds of situations. But what's really cool is when you are in places that are with like-minded individuals, you do get this sense of an interconnectedness that is beyond time and space to some degree. And it's really interesting how that works. Like in the Regal Change Academy, for example, recently, there have been a lot of people that are winning, and it's great to see. And that's what we want to have happen in the community, and we want to be able to support one another, and that's why we're there. And it's almost as if we are beginning to lap these other people, because collectively we are growing faster together, because this person feeds off of that person feeds off of this person, and they're all inspiring one another. And this is what happens in any kind of community. The Regal Change Academy, this is just an example, but this is what happens in any kind of community or family unit. That's what a family is supposed to be for too. You choose family. You don't always choose the blood that you're with. And I don't really subscribe to the notion that blood is family. I just don't believe that. I've never believed it really, but it wasn't until my early 20s that I had the courage to really break away from that family dynamic and all the things that happened. And it's times like this where gratitude and respect and having a reverence for where you come from and where you've been and how you got to this point is going to play a big role in how you move forward, because you'll be amazed with how gratitude and just respecting people that are ahead of you in life, you'll be surprised at how far that gets you. And it's because of your authentic appreciation, not only toward God, but also toward the people that you're with and you're building with and you're sharing this common life with. That's going to be the indication of whether or not you're going to truly be successful in the long run. And a lot of people, even myself in the past, I've seen that sometimes it's just better to be alone. Sometimes it's better to just grind in silence. And I completely adhere to that. And I completely understand that proclivity toward being. However, I also suggest unto you that perhaps it's time to also notice that there is a time for being silent. There is a time for isolation, but there's also a time for building with people. There's also a time for getting this interconnectedness, for really feeling like you're on a mission with people. There's no better feeling. There's nothing better than this feeling of being on the same team as people, striving in a direction that is bringing out this blossoming of spiritual understanding, of physical, aspirational prosperity and emotional connection. There's nothing like that feeling. And so, something that I've noticed also is that when you do have this reverence for life, when you do have this appreciation and respect for just the people around you and the people that are ahead of you, they're willing to give to you more. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that like doing people a favor and giving value and always giving more than you receive, not to the point to where you're overextending, but because you're an overflowing fountain of value. If you can strive to be an overflowing fountain of value, I would say that's a pretty decent ideal to strive to attain. And the reason behind that is because when you are an overflowing vessel of value, let's say, as an overflowing vessel of value, you are not only incorporating no platitudes of discourse, you are neither forcing people to join you or to be on your terms. You know, like if you want to do what you want to do, that's fine. Just go do it somewhere else, right? That's the way that I see it. I'm not going to force you here. I'm not going to force you to do anything. But if you want to be around here in this environment, these are the things that have to happen. And that's the kind of mentality and approach that I have. That's the kind of overflowing vessel of value that I strive to be. And you'll be surprised at how far that gets you. There's a lot of people also in the world that are just so entitled. They don't even know it. That's the craziness. Like, that's the craziest thing about seeing some of the people in the world, that I've seen people that have so much materialistically. You know, I didn't grow up necessarily poor, but I wasn't really rich either. I mean, we were not even well off, really. It was a really challenging time up until I was in junior high and high school, specifically high school for my family. And I remember being a child, and I was probably 10 or 11, and we were going to the luncheons at the park. And that was because at the time, my dad had just lost his job. It was the 2008 recession. And my dad had just lost his job. I suppose I was 12 then. And we were going, that was the only source of food we would get for that day, is to go to get the free lunch at the park during the summer. And it was a way for my parents to save money. It was a way for everybody to save money and, you know, look for new ways to grow in the meantime. But one thing that I will say, even though I'm not necessarily in contact with my family anymore, I will say that I did always have food on the table, and I always had a shelter. I always did have those things. But I never really did have the family that I was around emotionally or spiritually. They were physically there, but they were spiritually absent. And I'm not trying to talk bad on them. I'm just saying that that's the way that it is, and that's the way that it was. And again, being grateful for the times that you went through, never forgetting where you came from, never forgetting or underestimating that you can lose it all again. But guess what? If you made it happen before, you can make it happen again. And that's the cool thing about life, is you have to be willing to risk it all every single day. I'm not going to say you're living on borrowed time necessarily, but in some ways you are living on borrowed time. Every single day you have to earn. I have written on my mirror, says you are available to die, and you have to earn your sunrise. And what I mean by that is you have to work for each day. Each day that you get is a gift. And if you earn that day, the day is going to just attract things to you. I'm to the point now to where my density of my spirit is becoming so powerful that I'm simply just attracting things now. I'm not trying to chase anything. Of course, there's a system that you have to follow through, and you have to strive to do certain things, and there's ways of moving in the world and navigating in the world. But at the same time, you have to recognize whether or not you are actually aligned with what you're saying you're going to do and what you're actually doing. And so when I say you're available to die also, I've understood that this could be seen as, oh, well, you don't have everlasting life then. Oh, you're not saved like you say you are. Because I've had that before in the past. And that's not what I'm saying at all. Because we are available to die. You're available to go back into sin. You can fall back into sin. Anybody could. I'm no saint, and even the saints were attacked the hardest with spiritual attacks and temptations and such. So, who do you think? Like, who do you think you are? Hello, are you saved? Maybe you should be more concerned with your own salvation than somebody else's. And that's just, I'm not necessarily saying that that's something that you need to be focused on, but if you don't follow Jesus. But if anybody here that is claiming to follow Jesus is not interested in their own salvation and their conviction to repentance, then I mean that's kind of weird, man. That's kind of weird to call yourself a follower of Christ or a Christian or whatever, and not to be interested in your own salvation or thinking that you're just perfect. There's a reason why Jesus commands us to be perfect, because we're not. That's why he commands us to be perfect. But it's not about being perfect in every single thing that you do. One of the biggest things that held me back from discovering these new levels is by overthinking too much and trying to be perfect all the time, like having a solid plan. Sometimes it's better to just start the thing and figure out what you need along the way, instead of trying to plan everything out crystal clear, because then by the time you get the plan done, you're so exhausted with striving to get this plan together that you don't actually have the power to implement what you need to have taking place as far as an action into action. And that's going to be the biggest factor, is can you take action? The universe will reward you. God will reward you for taking action. And God is about to reward you for taking action. However, you have to take the action. And there's nothing on this planet that I have yet to see where people are doing legitimate work of some kind and they're not getting paid for it spiritually or physically. I've yet to see that. It may take years. It may take months. It may be today, actually. Who knows? But I've never seen anybody that's truly worked for something ever have something go to waste. And one of the biggest examples that I'm thinking of right off the cuff is Robert Greene. Robert Greene has said that he was writing novels and mystery books, and he didn't care whatever it took to get to be a writer, because that's what he wanted to do. And he didn't have success until he was 36. He didn't have any kind of semblance of success until he was 36. Okay? That's a long time for somebody to be working. He said he wrote more words than anybody else for free. He said he's positive about that. He has he's not even worried about anybody else catching up to him. And he also said that he knew that something would land sometime. He said, if I just kept going, something would land sometime. And now look at him. He's one of the best writers of our generation. And that's not even my opinion. That's actually like what the literature and what the selling records state. So, I mean, he's gotten to that place, and it took years. It took years and years of hardship and suffering to get there. But now he's there. So don't be discouraged if you're not quite where you want to be, or you're not exactly where you think you should be or you deserve to be. Because there have been times in my past where I knew I deserved better. And I thought to myself, I deserve better than this. I deserve better than this. I work too much and too hard to not have better. But what I was trying to do was force God's timing. I was trying to force things to happen. I was trying to force things into existence. Now, there's a difference between having momentum and moving with a will and imposing your will and bending reality to shape your will, or bending reality in the shape of your will and trying to force things into existence. No, that's not going to work. You can bend reality through your will and have things come to existence, but how much of that is going to be sacrificing your soul versus just the hard work and the smart work, rather? I want to be clear about that. Smart work is better than hard work any day of the week. And that's something that I've struggled with as well in the past, because I can be like a workhorse. I can work and work and work and work until I literally feel like I'm dying and I have to force myself into recovery. But if I'm necessarily inclined to actively rest at certain points when I know that I've started to map out my consciousness to where I can see how my mind is working and operating, and if I'm not at that level that I need to be, or my body's not at the level I need to be, then I'll actively rest. And the best way that I actively rest is to just go into silent darkness. That's the best way for me to rest, is to completely decompress, let my nervous system calm down, and completely reset and reboot. But obviously sleep is another great way. You need to sleep. You need to get more sleep. Anybody that's watching this, you probably need more sleep. However, on the flip side, I know in the past I've discerned that if you sacrifice 1 hour of sleep per day for a year, that's 14 extra days that you get. That means that you're going to have 14 extra days ahead of your competitors, or ahead of, like, if you're in a business or something. That 1 hour a day extra, you'll, after a few years, the leaps and bounds will start to take place. But that's even just sacrificing 1 hour of sleep. That's not even sacrificing, let's say, if you are able to cut your meal prep time or whatever, or how much you cook, or how much you spend on food or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of different kinds of sacrifices you can make. But all this goes to say that there is a new level taking place, and the energy is hot right now. The energy is on fire, and I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. So I hope you guys are going to catch with this momentum. And if you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, where we have a group of elite spiritual people, we have the godlike savages for the men. That's who we're striving to build. And then we have the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women as well. This is a co-ed group for both the free Discord channel as well as the paid community. It's really simple to get to the paid community if you're interested. It's in the link in the description box below, or you can check out the link tree that I have in the description box below, and that'll go to places where you can easily access that. And then I also want to appreciate everybody that is tuned into these videos, the subscribers, the followers, the people that are liking and commenting. Shout out to you guys. I do appreciate everybody. And I really think that there's a lot of value that is yet to be had too. There's so many things that I have in the works right now that I'm just waiting to reveal at the right time, and I'm super stoked for it. And man, it just feels good. Things are building up. We've got a lot of momentum, so let's keep it going. Let's keep it real, keep it fresh, and keep it nice. All right, everybody. Peace be with you all. Until next time.